Hi, it's lesson 6 today, and we're going to talk about a style that's called, I call it, and some of these styles that I'm titling, I'm naming, may not really be what they're called, but it's what I call them. I try to keep things, as you know, simple, easy to understand. So this session is called 1-5-1, and it's just simply means the steps of the scale, the first, the fifth, and the first. So 1-5-1 is my favorite style. I probably, if I just sit down to noodle, that's the style I use the most. So I need you to turn to page 16 because today you're going to need to know a little bit about the scales. And there's a really good scale chart, scale sheet. I taught from it for years. Before I started taking shortcuts, I really recommended that students know it, but I don't think you really have to memorize it. But I do have a whole series on this book and on the scales and how to play them. So just scroll down until you find plain scales and you'll see that I'll explain to you. But it's page 16 in my book, The First Aid Chord Kit, which I highly recommend that you get for this series because it's just going to help just strengthen your knowledge of chords and how they're formed. So let's get started with 1-5-1. Okay, this one is my favorite. I think probably if I just sit down to noodle at the piano, this is probably the style I use the most because it's just really pretty. When I taught it on the organ, this is also a great left-hand style to use if you're playing on a keyboard. Make it sound like a guitar, and you'll get a really pretty sound. And it's a great style for guitar music. So if you're playing the chord in an octave, like this. So remember, the C chord is C, E, G. And if I top it off, and on piano, you kind of think more of an octave than you do on a keyboard or an organ. Okay, so just practice the chords and go a C chord, and a G chord, and an F chord, and a D chord. Remember A, D, and E? Have that sharp in the middle. Okay, so that'll be exercise number 1. Just sit at the keyboard and just take the white keys and play a chord with an octave note. C on the bottom, C on the top. Okay, so you go C, D, E, B has 2 sharps, remember, and C. And you can do these with both hands. Okay? And just practice them with both hands. Might as well get this hand trained, remember. Okay, so 1-5-1 is just the number of the note in the scale, the step, okay? So remember, a basic 3-note chord is the first, the third, and the fifth. And in my book, on page 16, there is a scale chart. It shows that a C chord is the first, the third, and the fifth. And it says so right over here on the side. So major, minor, diminished, augmented. So all we're going to do now is we're going to play the first, the fifth, and the eighth, which is the same as the first, the top note and the bottom note of a scale. So I call it 1-5-1. So it feels like this. Like this. Okay, so it's your little finger, your pointer finger, and your thumb. If you lock your hand on the keyboard and just, leave these 2 fingers, they're kind of useless with this style. And you just go, don't try to use your third finger there or substitute. Okay? So all you're doing is leaving out the E. Okay, you're playing C, G. Now G chord, if your hand is locked, if you move down to G, your hand, just freeze it. Get a good hand cramp there and play G. G, D, G. So all of these, see, you cannot, until you get to the B chord, they're all white keys. B chord has an F sharp in it. But don't worry, you're never going to play that chord anyway. So you can play all of these chords because on a regular chord, the third is the only note that you sharpen. We're not using that now. So you can do this really easily. Okay, so between the first note and the middle note, you'll always have 3 keys. It's a fifth. 1, 5, 1. All right? So now if I play Ode to Joy, use the pedal. Now, see how the last measure when I only have 2 beats, I just used part of some other style. So now I can go. See, I can start to get creative and go back and start pulling from my library of things that I know to do with my left hand. Now, the next thing, and I was going to make this another session, but I think I'm going to put it on this one because this one's relatively easy. The third that we left out, we can add it back in on top. So we can go, see? So we're going 1, 2, 3, 4. So just take your second finger over because it needs something to do again. And you get a really pretty that's called a 1-5-1, and now we'll tack on the very end of it a 1-5-1-3. So we'll call it 1-5-1-3. Now there's lots of variations as you get more creative and adventurous. You can go at an end. Great ending for a song. And instead of playing the 3 when you go over, play a whole chord. So, or you can go, let's see, you could do 1 for a waltz. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. See? So that is my favorite style. It doesn't sound good without your damper pedal. Okay? Push the damper pedal down and hold it. And I think when you listen to piano music or you watch someone play the piano, now you're going to be able to look at them. So watch some YouTube videos of piano players, not classical probably, but you're going to be able to go, oh my gosh, that's an Alberti bass, or oh wow, that's a 1-5-1. And it makes listening to a piano player a lot of fun. And you'll be able to recognize and label what they're doing. Okay? So try the 1-5-1 and then add the little advanced 1-5-1-3. Even if you don't even do anything with your right hand yet, you can just walk up a scale. Just practice, because your right hand's got to do something, and eventually I think that's the hardest thing, is to get your right hand and your left hand to work together. Even if you just play one note. So your right hand is getting used to jumping in there. It's like jump rope, double Dutch jump rope, where, you know, I don't know if you ever tried it, but if you did, jumping in, the getting in and the getting out was always the hard part. So get this hand trained and make them work together. And then when you start to add the melodies, it's going to be a lot easier. Okay? We'll see you next session. I hope you enjoyed this segment. It's my favorite left-hand style. If you have a keyboard and you're using the piano, I recommend that you get a damper pedal for your keyboard, because it's just going to make all of these styles sound better. And if you have an acoustic piano, I recommend, I really insist kind of, that you use the damper pedal for this style. So again, if you don't have my book, it's the First Aid Chord Kit, and it's on sacramentomusicgroup.com. It also comes with 2 DVDs that will help you. If you get the PDF format, then you don't get the DVDs. But if you buy the book and I mail it to you, then you get a circle of chords that's laminated, and a set of DVDs that we did in our old classroom setting. So now all of our DVDs, because I'm retired, are all done here in our living room. But some of the older ones are really fun. We did them in a group of just amazing people and had a lot of fun. So I hope you enjoy watching them, because they're really informal and laid back. So let's wait and for lesson number 7 next week, and I'll see you then.